Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You've watched other videos kind of like this one. They explain a few tips on how to, increase muscle growth or hack your body for more muscle growth or how to work out better for muscle growth, stuff like that. I've watched those too, but you notice that your physique and your workouts don't actually improve to get you more muscle growth. Like, you don't physically get any results from those videos, even though they give you like all of the good tips. They tell you, slower the eccentric movements and all this shit. You don't actually see noticeable results. All those tips are well and good, and I will give you some advice like that is useful. But what you have to first understand is that the framework is wrong. It's because you can't really hack your body to gain more muscle. You first have to understand that your body is an intricate, complex system that works as intended. And so if you want to gain muscle mass, you have to work with the system and not pretend like you're working against the system. So this is going to be a video on how to not literally hack your body for unlimited muscle growth, but how to actually get unlimited muscle growth up to your genetic potential, working with your body instead of against your body and pretending to be like, all cool. Oh, I'm hacking my body. I'm biohacking to gain unlimited muscle mass, but it never really works. There are 5 principles that we are going to go over in today's video, and if you master all 5, that's when your body can produce the most muscle growth. Work out for growth, overfeed, keep both levels even and high, work out less often, more intense, attempt improvement every session. I'm going to tell you right now, not all of the information in this video is going to sound super exciting or sexy. Some of this is going to sound very basic, boring, and unsexy, but you need to hear this. You need to stop looking for the most kind of sexy, interesting, dopamine triggering tips in YouTube videos that just are the most interesting. You need to be looking at the most effective information that you can implement. I've spoken to a lot of young guys, and they know all about the random tips that kind of maybe help improve their workouts, but a lot of them don't follow the very basic principles that their body wants them to follow to trigger hella muscle growth. On the other hand, some of this information might sound kind of strange to you, like you've never heard it before, and you might think, well, there's no way that works. But all I ask is, before you pass judgment, just try it out. Just implement it seriously for a short period of time and see if you get results, right? If you want to say, well, there's no way that XYZ works, that's perfectly fine, but you owe it to yourself to try it out first. Principle number 1 is to work out for growth. A lot of guys don't do this. They actually just work out to feel like they're growing or just to get the pump or something like that, right? They work out to feel like they're pushing themselves without actually pushing themselves. For example, how does muscle growth actually work? It doesn't work by doing 3 sets of 10 of a weight that you've already done. Muscle growth works by pushing your muscle outside of its comfort zone. And then that triggers muscle growth called hypertrophy, and your body's like, okay, we need to divert more resources towards this muscle to make it bigger. That's it. That is all you need to know about muscle growth. When you push it outside of your comfort zone, it grows. It's very, very, very simple. So following this principle, how do we work out for muscle growth? We have to push our muscles outside of their comfort zone every single time we work out. You're not gonna like hearing this. This is one of those pieces of information that I said will be unsexy. Well, some of you might. The best way to do this is by going until failure every single set. Have you ever heard of something called reps in reserve, RIR? It's a very science-based lifter thing. It's basically you work out within a certain number of reps in reserve, and that's supposed to lead to muscle growth as you progress or something like that. It's complete bullshit. I'm going to tell you straight away. It is complete bullshit. You are leaving growth on the table if you use reps in reserve. They think it's a really smart term. All it basically means is you're training like a bitch. And I used to work out this way. I used to just show up to the gym. I used to just pick up a certain weight that I thought I could do my target number of reps for. And then I would just push it until I got to my last rep, and then I would put it down. Even though I knew I had more reps in me, at least 1 or 2. And this is the wrong way to work out, even though it's so common and so traditional. You might think, most people think, go until failure every single workout. That seems like overtraining. Overtraining is a term that is thrown around a lot. It's used to scare people. It's also used as an excuse to not train as hard. But I'm gonna tell you right now, overtraining is not going until failure every single workout. Overtraining is like if you're a professional bodybuilder that works out 2 to 3 times a day for like over an hour each session, or you're kind of like a normal kid, but you're not eating enough and you're not sleeping enough, because recovery plays a huge role in overtraining. So here's what you need to do every single workout instead. Pick up a weight that you think you can do your target number of reps for, and then do your normal set, except when you finish your target number of reps, don't put the weight down. Instead, just keep doing more reps, and don't let your brain quit either, because your brain is going to want to quit before your body actually has to quit. Go until your muscles physically can't lift the weight anymore. Go until you can't do another rep, and then even then, when you think you can't do another rep, continue to try to push the weight up. Just train your brain to constantly be engaging the muscle even when you think you can't lift the weight. I've talked about this a lot before, but the beauty of this is that you always, every single workout, know that you are triggering hypertrophy. It's not a mystery anymore. You don't ever leave the gym questioning, did I trigger muscle growth that session? Am I going to improve in a few weeks? That's not a question anymore, because you wait until absolute failure every single set. In case you might still be wondering, and this is a valid concern, well, isn't that overtraining? Like, I don't know if I could do that. It seems like I would get too tired or I would burn out or whatever. I've been doing it for 9 months. 9 months, almost every set that I've done is a failure set, and I don't feel burnt out. I don't feel tired. I feel amazing. I'm also going to give you a little bit of freedom here, because this is a very hard tip to implement. You won't overtrain, right? You won't overexert yourself, but it is kind of mentally hard to do, isn't it? Going until failure. And so if some days you don't end up taking a certain exercise until failure, or, whatever, some days you just feel a little bit too tired to go until failure on a certain set, I completely understand. This is an ideal to shoot for, but it's not necessarily something we have to get 100% of the time. You've probably also heard this one before, but you should be maximizing time under tension and using good form, right? Those are very basic tips. So as you're doing your lift, the concentric and the eccentric phase, slow it down, focus on slow, controlled reps and keeping good form, because that will lead to more growth than trying to do really heavy weight with super bad form. Principle number 2 is to overfeed. These 2 principles, the first and the second, are the most important principles to hacking your body to gain muscle. Think of it kind of like the biblical parable about the man who builds his house on sand versus the man who builds his house on rock, right? You need a good foundation for the house, your body, that you're building. And building on sand is, if you don't have good nutrition, you don't have any fuel for your body, you don't have good building blocks to provide to your muscles. And so the house falls down when a storm comes. Building on rock, using rock as your foundation, is like having excess food, excess resources, right? You're in a calorie surplus, you're overfeeding, you're providing your muscles with the building blocks that it needs to build strong muscles. You can either build your house on sand or on rock, and I want to build my house on rock. Overfeeding, bulking, being in a surplus is the biggest point to growing muscle mass. I talk about this a lot on my channel. I know like every other video that I make is about bulking, but it is so important. Obviously, if you have super high body fat, you probably need to cut down first, just a little bit, but that is okay. At the end of the day, you're still going to bulk up so you can gain more muscle mass. If you want to gain hella muscle mass, you need to gain hella mass, period. You just have to get bigger. You have to get heavier. So make sure you're in a surplus, probably like 500 to 1,000 calorie surplus, like a large surplus. Especially if you're training until failure, you're training for growth, that surplus will be amazing for you. You'll have plenty of energy to work out. Your muscles will have all the resources that it needs to grow. These 2 things are the key to getting unlimited muscle mass. I have a lot of other videos on bulking, so I'm not going to make this one a bulk video, but if you're interested in bulking advice from someone who isn't on steroids, go check out my videos. A very basic place that I can get you started is to download MyFitnessPal, which is a diet tracking app, and just set up an account there, because if you put in like all your information, your weight, your activity level, stuff like that, it'll calculate your surplus for you. and then you can log all your food and stuff like that. It makes it very, very easy and intuitive to get all your information that you need for bulking. Now, point number 3 is the most important dynamic between the first 2 principles. If you get anything from this video, please let it be this. We have 2 things here. We've got growth, and I'll use green for fuel, right? This is kind of the standard guy that works out maybe 5 to 6 days a week, but he doesn't really push himself until failure, and he's not on a bulk, right? You can see that his level of growth is okay, right? He tries to progressive overload, every couple of weeks, but it's not very high, and the amount of fuel that he's providing his body is not very high either. Maybe he's getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, but he's not overfeeding. He's not getting a lot of sources of carbohydrates, which are the body's main fuel source, and so he's not providing enough fuel for his body, right? So the first part of this is to keep everything level, right? You need to keep the level of hypertrophy and overfeeding level. For his basic amount of working out, what he should do is go on a bulk, right? And he should be overfeeding. Let's say he goes on kind of a standard bulk. He begins to eat in a surplus of a few hundred calories. His body gets some more fuel from that, and so now they are kind of even, right? And this is great for muscle growth because now your body doesn't really have any problems with growth or fuel, right? They're both working together. Neither one is kind of like in deficiency or holding you back. And so his rate of muscle growth will begin going up at a pretty kind of slow but steady rate. Now let's say he watches Ryan Snow's channel, and I talk about going until failure all the time. And so he begins triggering more muscle growth. He starts going until failure some of the time during his workout, maybe 1 workout or 2 workouts every single session. Now you can see that his growth is higher again than his fuel is. And so what's gonna happen is he's going to kind of tire himself out, right? Maybe not even get like exhausted, like system fatigue per se, but he's going to be working out pretty intensely, and his body's not gonna have enough fuel to match the level of growth that he's trying to demand. And so what does he have to do? He has to increase his surplus, right? So let's say he starts going on a really heavy bulk, and he might even get some fat gain from this, right? His body fat percentage might go up as he's bulking so hard, but that's kind of normal, right? However, let's say he decides he's not gonna work out quite as hard on his bulk, he's not gonna trigger hypertrophy quite as much for whatever reason. If your fuel is higher than your growth, your body fat gain is going to be even higher because your body doesn't know what to do with all of that fuel. If you think about like people that have obesity, right, or diabetes or whatever, when you have excess body fat, it's because your body doesn't know what to do with it. It really wants to use it for muscle growth, right? Let's say this is like an obese person. He eats a crazy amount of food, but he doesn't really move all that much, right? He doesn't walk all that much, sedentary job, whatever. And so your body wants to use all of this fuel for something. It really wants to use it for muscle growth, honestly. Your body's on your own side. It wants to use it for muscle growth, but you're not triggering enough hypertrophy. And so there's this imbalance that causes you problems. What I'm asking you is to keep them level and high. So I want you to be triggering hypertrophy every single workout by going until failure as often as you can, and be giving your body very nutritious whole foods and overfeeding so that it always has enough fuel. When your rate of hypertrophy matches the surplus that you are in, that is ideal for muscle growth. And when you keep them as high as possible, the rate of muscle growth goes up, so you can gain muscle mass faster. If you can master this principle, if you take anything away from this video, just one thing, let it be this: keep both your levels of hypertrophy and overfeeding level and high. If you master this, this is how you hack your body. The things that helped me most along my personal journey were always information products, that is, books or courses that I purchased. And when I implemented seriously the lessons that I learned in those books or courses, my life changed every single time. So when it came time to decide how I was going to monetize this channel, I knew that I wanted to offer an information product. If you are serious about getting an aesthetic physique and you are willing to invest in yourself, the top link in the description is my full program. That is all of my years and years of lifter knowledge put into a single course. And it's more than I could ever possibly put into any one of these YouTube videos. It's just hours and hours of me going over information. It's extremely detailed, it's extremely value packed, and it's for those that are serious about getting an aesthetic physique. It would mean a lot to me if you would just click the link, go to the page, and watch the attached video just to see if it's for you, because if it is for you, then you will miss out by not checking it out. But if it doesn't seem like it's the right time or you cannot afford it, don't worry, because I will continue to always post content on this channel for free. My end goal is to bring you value, and my program is the best way that I can do that. Thank you. I want to talk about point number 4, which you probably won't like. It will probably sound super unsexy, unless, I don't know, some people might like it. Workouts less often, more intense. And before I explain this, because I'm sure this will be very controversial, I want to ask you once again to try this out before you pass judgment on it. What I like to do is a period of a month where I implement all the principles that I'm talking about in this video, all the secrets that I'm spilling in this video, right? I work out for hypertrophy, I overfeed, I keep both level and high, I work out less often, more intense, and I try to improve every single workout. So what I recommend is you do a period of this of just like a month. And if you get results from it, awesome, you gained more muscle mass. And if not, you can just think about it like a period of, I don't know, a system reset or whatever you want to call it. If you're like me, you're going to have to exercise some restraint while you're doing this, because I love working out, but there are several benefits to working out less often. First of all, if you're on a bulk, then you don't burn the amount of calories that you would have if you had exercised that day. So you save or like add the amount of calories to your diet when you don't exercise daily. Also, you get more time to recover and to eat. Remember, we need to keep the level of recovery and hypertrophy kind of as close and as high as possible. You're not even necessarily triggering more growth, you're just working out more often. All you really need to do to trigger growth is to achieve failure during your workout. That rule doesn't say that you necessarily have to work out every single day. Here's the system that I use when I go on my month-long bulk protocols. So I do one full body day where I take everything until failure, and I normally just do one set per exercise, but I work my entire body. And then I have 3 days of rest in between each workout. So it's one workout day, 3 days of rest, and then the next workout day. Every single day that I work out, I always try to progressive overload on all of my lifts. So I try to go up by at least 5 pounds on every single lift. If you fail your base number of reps, for me it's like 7 during this protocol. So if I can't get 7 with the weight that I'm trying to progressive overload in, I increase the number of rest days from 3 to 4, or from 4 to 5. So you add more rest days as you get bigger and you trigger more and more hypertrophy and get stronger, basically, right? And there actually is kind of a method to this madness. The reason is because as your muscles get bigger, they naturally need more time to heal, right? A muscle that can lift 25 pounds of something is going to take more time to heal than the muscle that can only lift 10 pounds of something. It's just simple biology, that's how it works. Now you might be thinking, is that frequency actually enough? Is once every 4 days actually enough to, grow my muscles? The short answer is yes. Think about like a skin wound, like a cut, right? How long does that take to heal? A small cut normally takes a few days, like 3 days to a week, right? Muscles take longer to heal than skin wounds. That's because they use a different dermal line, different dermal germ line to heal. So your biology actually uses a different process to heal muscles that takes much longer. So if your muscles are going to grow, it takes much longer. So it can actually be really, really, really useful for your body to spend that extra time recovering instead of trying to hammer your body every single day. If you achieve failure every single set, right? If you're working out with enough intensity, then that alone should be enough. If you're trying to go until failure, push your muscles outside of their comfort zone, then you don't have to worry about, packing in a workout every single day. Your muscles will grow if you give them time and you give them extra recovery. I want to make it very clear that I'm not recommending this because I'm one of those guys that wants to figure out the least amount that I can do to gain muscle mass. I'm not like that. I love working out with all of my heart. I'm obsessed with this shit. If I thought that this was less powerful, or if I thought that, this was just a cheaper way to gain muscle mass, I wouldn't be recommending it. I'm not trying to find like the minimum amount of work I can do to gain muscle mass. I'm trying to find the way to gain the most amount of muscle mass. All I recommend is that you try it and let the numbers speak for themselves, right? We all have different biology, we all have different bodies. And if this actually doesn't work for you, don't keep it. However, I think that most people's problems are actually that they don't have the right level of recovery and they aren't providing enough of a surplus for their muscles to actually benefit from all of the hypertrophy that they're trying to trigger. Number 5, this is a very basic one, but you need to attempt improvement every single workout. What I've noticed a lot of young guys doing is they kind of get to a weight where they feel like they've improved, I don't know, like a decent amount, and then their rate of trying to progressive overload goes down. So there's fewer workouts where they try to pick up heavier weights, there's fewer workouts where they try to do more reps, and then they kind of wonder why they're hitting plateaus. Make absolutely no mistake, you need to be attempting to improve every single workout. If you're not, that workout is completely wasted. It was a waste of your time and you should not have done it. This just means try to improve at least one number every single workout. That could be one more rep on one exercise. That could be going up in 5 pounds on one exercise. The minimum for this, the bar for this is so low. Just try to improve at least a little bit. How often you try to improve directly controls the amount of muscle mass that you gain, right? We don't want to be stupid here and be obsessed with gaining muscle mass, but actually just never trying to improve every single workout. I've gone through long periods where I wasn't making any progress at all. I wasn't gaining any size, I wasn't getting any bigger, right? I didn't feel like I was getting any stronger, and I just couldn't figure out why, and it frustrated me so much. But I wasn't trying to improve my actual numbers every single workout. It felt like I was working out really hard. Here's the truth. There's 2 types of working out. There's working out that feels hard, where you don't actually improve or get results, and there's working out where it feels hard and you actually do get results. What matters is the numbers that you're tracking. If you increase the numbers, you increase the weight or the reps, you will get stronger. I've recommended this before, but a very basic way to do this is to get a workouts tracker. The one you use doesn't really matter, just find a free one that you feel comfortable using, and then try to improve every single session. In conclusion, these are the 5 principles to hack your body, really master your body and get unlimited muscle growth, right? And imagine how much progress you will make when you do all of these, when you master all 5 of these, right? Workout to trigger growth, overfeed. If you keep both levels even and high so you're making consistent progress at the fastest rate that you possibly can. This obviously is optional, but it really, really helps if you work out less often, more intense. That gives your body extra recovery time to build that muscle. And if you attempt improvement every session, you will gain so much muscle mass, it'll be insane. It'll just be like this big ball of muscle that can't fit through doorways. As always, if you have any questions, then please ask them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them, or I'll make a dedicated video on it. And if you got any value from this video, then consider subscribing. It's a win-win for both of us. I win because you have a new subscriber. You win because anytime I have a new insight, learn something new, or try something new, I can make a video and directly give you value. Thank you so much for watching. I have to go hit a really intense, crazy workout with my friend, so I've got to go, but thanks for watching.